Hello and welcome to the Brutal Iron Gym podcast, where our goal is to cut through the BS and deliver the brutal truth about topics related to health and happiness. So today's topic is mindset, and we're going to be discussing a daily happiness routine. And what this is it's actually a series of questions that I ask myself at the end of the day. And this is basically was created from a lot of the books that I'd read through, like business success, relationship, personal success, and also dealing with like depression, anxiety, and stuff. So I've dealt with a little bit of that in my own life, and then I discuss it a lot with clients. So the more of those type of books I read, the more material I kind of soak in, plus talking with every client and their individual experiences, it helps me just help the next person better. And in turn, it helps me help myself. So that's very fortunate as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through the questions that I ask myself every day. And if you like this, you can kind of, copy the questions that maybe you like. You can make questions of your own. Just something to kind of think over on how to help foster or create more happiness in your life, and how we can better define what happiness actually is. So, the questions I have right now are 9 questions. So I know it's a weird number. I'd like to make it like a top 10, but I just didn't feel like a 10th one was necessary. So at least not yet. So let's go through this, and hopefully you guys can like some of it or find some benefit from it. Okay? So first question we have is, would you be proud to meet God today? Now this would be obviously if you believe in a God. So it can be whichever God you do believe in. Or if you don't have a religious belief, you can ask yourself, if your life ended today, would you be proud? And that's essentially what that question is getting down to is, are you proud of what's going on in your life? Are you proud if you were to be judged? And it doesn't mean judged in a negative way. It's just, if you had to take an inventory of your life, and if today was the last day, you had no more chances to make any changes. Today was whatever today is whatever your life ended. That was your legacy. That was how everything was going to be left. Relationships, business, everything. It just ended today. Would you be proud of it? So if somebody took an introspective look into your life, they saw, what you thought, what you did, what your actions were when people were looking and when they weren't looking, and they saw everything about your life, would you be proud? And the reason why I liked this question was because of the general theme that you'll find in most like business books and personal success books and stuff, is that if you're living with something that you feel ashamed of, then it's never going to allow you to be fully happy. So in your life, you'll never be fully 100% happy if you always have this thing in the back of your mind that you're trying to hide from people, you're trying to hide from yourself, you're trying to excuse away, even though you know maybe it's not the best thing, maybe it's a wrong thing. So that would be the idea of this, is asking ourselves right away is, would I be proud to meet God today? Or would I be proud to show someone everything about my life? And if there is something I'm not proud of, that becomes my number one priority. That's the absolute thing I want to focus on the most in my life, above everything and all things else. So even if I was, married and had kids, had a spouse and kids to take care of, this priority, this thing, if there was something I was not proud of, still needs to be number one. Because I will only ever be as good of a spouse or as good of a parent as I can be while this thing is lingering in my mind, or this thing is holding me back from becoming my full best self. So that's why you have to address it first. So that's also why it's the first question. Is it lets me know at the end of every day, did I live my life in a way that day that I'd be proud of if somebody were to see it? And if I can do that every day, to me, that alleviates a lot of anxiety over death, because a lot of times we have anxiety and fear of death because we feel like we have unfinished business, or we have things that we don't want to leave the way they are yet. So if I got to the end of every day and I said, hey, you know what, I'd be proud if God's got to see me today. I'd be proud if somebody got to look into my life today. And if I feel that way, I'm going to feel a lot better contentment with my life. I might not be like bouncing off the walls kind of happy, but contentment is its own form of happy. So I get to kind of just feel at peace with my life at that moment. And that helps you just feel at peace with all of life. So with everything that's going on around you. And then also it helps with a lot of these questions I ask at the very end of the day, and they're designed to help me get better quality of sleep. So I've talked about it a little bit in past podcasts, but not too much, is I have very, very, very poor sleep quality. So it various reasons, and I won't go into that right now, but I'll have, very consecutive days, if not weeks, where I get 4 to 5 hours of sleep, and then every once in a while I'll crash and sleep 12 hours a day. But this kind of stuff helps me better regulate my sleep, helps me avoid those nights where, maybe you fall asleep for an hour and you're dead to the world, then all of a sudden you wake up and you're wide freaking awake for the rest of the night. Or if there's times where you can't go to sleep because there's just a lot on your brain. So the series of questions and all this is it's definitely supposed to help with daily happiness, but it also helps with sleep quality as well. So that's our first question, is would you be proud to meet God today, or if your life ended today, would you be proud of what you have left, like what you're leaving to the world? And if there's anything that you are not proud of, so like some things I've done in my past is if there's something I wanted to work on that I wasn't proud of, I would try my best to learn as much as I could about it. So I would take even just 10 minutes a day to listen to, an audiobook, or listen to a YouTube video on it, maybe a podcast, maybe even a sermon if it was like a religious type thing. Anything. I might talk to a friend that day, and I might do it in more of hey, I had this friend, he was talking about this and this, and I'm really talking about myself, like one of those conversations. It's where you use friends as counselors in a sense, and just kind of bounce ideas off people and see what they think, see their opinions on things. It can help you think and find more clarity of what you're thinking on that issue. So I've done education in that way. So every single day I'll spend at least 10 minutes, and everyone has 10 minutes. We all have 10 minutes. So we just have to choose how we spend our 10 minutes. Sometimes we're choosing it, scrolling on Facebook for no reason, or Instagram, or watching some stupid video, or a TV show. We sit down at night and we watch, an hour or two of mindless television. It would be better for us to take, even just 10, 15 minutes of that time and invest it into learning something that we really want to work on, that has to do with that highest priority, that thing that we're maybe not proud of. And then I have a tracker app on my phone. It's on my home screen, the very first page you open up on my phone. There's a daily tracker app, and I have a couple things I track every day. And if I do it that day, I get a check mark. If I don't do it, I get an X. I don't leave any days blank. You either did it or you didn't do it. So, but that helps me look. So from month to month, maybe I'm getting better at doing the things I want to do more often. I'm doing better at not doing the things I don't want to do as often. So that helps. So just like in a training program where I have exercises, I have to learn what are the best exercises for me, then I have to track my performance and see if I'm improving. So I use that same system, is if there's something I want to correct about my life, whether it's, mindset, behavior, whatever, I'm going to learn about it, find out what are the best things to do about that and around that, and then I want to track and see if I'm making progress. So it's kind of the same mindset. And I've helped a lot of clients with this whenever they felt, happy enough and comfortable enough to share things with me. So if we found out that, hey, you've been messing up in your food, it's been, several weeks, what's really going on? And then all of a sudden, we kind of discuss, and they know what to do. It's not a lack of information. It's a lack of adherence, and we find out that maybe there's something going on that's getting in the way. So we start educating ourselves on it, we start creating a tracking system, and we start trying to move forward. So as much as I want to help my clients with nutrition and training, it's not just the knowledge that they need, it's learning how to navigate the craziness of life. So we've talked about this in past podcasts where sometimes people will have eating issues based on emotional stress. Maybe something happened to them when they were younger. Maybe they just kind of developed these walls and the emotional walls and stuff, and that is it getting in the way. So it's no longer whether they have the right diet, as they've bounced around from diet to diet to diet. If they're on their fourth or fifth diet, it's not the diet that's the problem. It's something in the way in which you're not able to follow diets. That's the problem. So that's what we look at. Okay? So that's the first question, is would you be proud to meet God today, or if your life ended today, would you be proud of what you were leaving behind? Second question we have is, did you fulfill your purpose today? So when we feel we have a purpose for life, we then feel like we have a reason to deal with the struggles of life. So life is challenging. It absolutely has moments of struggle. Things do not go perfectly according to plan, no matter how good of a person you are, or no matter how bad of a person you are. Sometimes bad people, life goes great, and sometimes great people, life goes bad. So life just happens. It just rolls and moves on, and we get caught up in the tide sometimes, and we try our best to kind of deal with it. And one of the ways you can learn how to deal with the struggles of life is to have a reason why you want to deal with those struggles. Why would we navigate through them? Why would we work through them? Why do we want to come out better on the other side? And part of that would be your purpose. So if you have a feeling of, what are you here for? And we've talked about this in the past podcast as well, is that question of why are you here? So not only in the gym, but also just in life, why are you here? What are you here for? If you have a spouse or kids, maybe your role is to make their lives as best as they can be. Maybe you have a purpose of giving to others. Maybe you're a nurse or a teacher or, service worker in some sort. There's just something about you that you want to share and give to the world. You're either going to support other people or you're going to kind of show something unique about yourself, and that's going to be a gift that you're going to share with the world. So if you can find your purpose today, if you can find your purpose, and if you can have a sense of doing something to fulfill that purpose every day, that'll help you feel happier. Because no matter all of the craziness that went on in life, you'll feel happier if you know that you've still been able to make a positive impact, if you've still been able to fulfill your purpose. So even that day, if your car broke down, your house caught on fire, whatever else happened, at the end of the day, if you were able to do something positive, if you were able to do something towards your purpose that day, then all that craziness, all that struggle of life would have been worth it because you took that step forward to your purpose. So that's why I ask myself. The second question is, did you fulfill your purpose today? And one of the things I'll do if I get to the end of the day, and I feel like, hey, you know what, I didn't do a good job of investing into other people as I would have wanted to. Maybe I was kind of resentful that day. I was kind of rushed and didn't really take the time I really wanted to. I'll send somebody a nice message. I'll either send them an email out of the blue, or I'll send somebody a text. I've actually sent people messages before on social media where, maybe I was short on temper. I didn't take the time to really talk with them. So I'll send them a message and just apologize for it. So, something like, hey, I'm sorry I was short today. I just had a lot of things going on in my mind. I apologize if I was rude. I hope next time we see each other, we can talk a little bit longer. And often people respond very nicely. But it makes me feel better, and it gives me that sense of contentment in the sense of I got to answer that question with a yes. So the question is, did you fulfill your purpose today? The answer is yes now. So if I send that friendly email, if I send that friendly text, or just apologize for if I was a butthead that day, it helps me better answer that question. And again, I have better happiness, knowing at the end of the day, I might have made a whole bunch of mistakes, but that person knows that they didn't deserve to be treated that way, and now they get to go to bed happier with that apology in their mind. So that's something that's like a small little thing that I like to do. Now the next thing we have, the next questions, the next two are kind of separate for me, but you can combine them for you if you wanted. One of them is, did I read scripture today? And this can be, again, if you're religious, it's a way for you to just connect to God. So if you read something in the Bible, which is supposed to be the book that he wrote, he wrote through people, but it's his words, his lessons, his book for teaching us how to navigate life. So if you're doing a daily happiness routine to try to become happy in life, you might want to read the manual. So, that'll help a ton. And I've talked, one of my best friends is a pastor, and we've talked about how you don't always get something, earth-shattering and amazing every day out of the Bible, but it's like just an investment into your health. So you brush your teeth every day, you take a shower every day to keep your body clean and healthy, and you read the Bible every day to keep your spirit clean and healthy. And just find out more information. You can look up one of the awesome things about technology nowadays. There's Bible apps, and if I want to learn something specific, so maybe I'm dealing with depression, I can look up a Bible reading plan based on depression. Maybe I'm dealing with feelings of hating myself for maybe I'm falling behind on things. I just feel like I'm a piece of crap. I kind of never follow through with anything. I make mistakes all the time. So you can kind of look up a daily plan on like learning to love yourself better. So that could be something. So it's just a great way for us to feel better connected to kind of like the higher meaning of the world. So now if you're not religious, now that's fine. You can find what's your greater purpose to this world. Why is this world even here? That kind of thing. So for some people I've talked to that aren't religious, they like just getting out in nature. So like if they got to go out and sit in the nature and listen to the birds and look at the sky, look at the trees, look at the beauty of the world, that's something that helps kind of reset their soul. And that's essentially what we're looking for was there something that made you feel more connected to the universe? And you want to try to do that every day. And it can be different for everybody. Of course it is. We're all different people. So for some it's going to be reading a religious book. For some people it's going to be getting out in nature. For others, whatever it is. Whether they feel connected best by being around people, So maybe that gives them a sense of kind of purpose and more connection with the universe is just being around good people and sharing laughter. So did you do something that day that made you feel connected to the greater good? So that kind of question. And if not, like if your answer, like if for me the question is did you read scripture, and if I have to answer no, I don't answer no. I pull out the Bible and I read something. Or I open up my phone, my Bible app on my phone, and I read something. So I'll time myself even just 5 minutes. I do not want to go to bed with a no to that question because it's 100% controllable. I will be choosing to go to bed with a no. And no one's forcing that on me. It's a choice. And I do not want to choose no. So that's something I ask myself. The next question is, did you write in your journal or in your prayer book? So again, it doesn't matter if it's religious. I like being honest with you guys. So for me, it is religious. So I want to give that context. But it doesn't have to be religious for all these questions. So, but writing in like a prayer book or a daily journal is an awesome way to kind of write down worries and concerns and things that kind of like are on your mind all day and like not necessarily like eating away at you. Sometimes they do that. But sometimes it just kind of rattles around back there, back of your head, and just kind of like bogs you down throughout the day. So writing down your worries and concerns helps to kind of unload them from your mind onto paper. And it just gives you a sense of more clarity. So if you go through the process of taking it out of your mind, forming it into sentences that you can write on paper, that makes you have to navigate through the information, through the feelings, and that can actually bring a sense of clarity as you do that, the process of writing. And it can also give you a sense of peace of mind. Because sometimes as you kind of think through it all, you start narrowing down things, you start to, like dismissing things that aren't that important. But if you wouldn't have taken the time to write them down, you wouldn't have went through all that. So that really, really helps with finding happiness at the end of the day by clearing your mind and getting rid of that stress and worries and concerns. And then also, again, that helps with sleep quality. So you can go to bed a lot easier if you feel like your mind is at ease, rather than feeling like you have to remember a million things that are all stressing you out. So the next question we have is, what was something you were grateful for today? And I like this question because it reminds you of the good things in life. So too often we get kind of bogged down by life's complaints, and anybody that's been around me in personal life, you'll know that I can't freaking stand when people complain about life, because often the complaints are repetitive and they're self-chosen. So somebody's like, oh, I'm just tired all the time. Well, learn how to get to sleep better. If you say you're tired all the time and you've been that way for years, you're an idiot. Find a way to address it. Okay? So, or find a way to become at peace with it. To where like you just accept that is part of your life. So let's say you have a newborn child. You will not get sleep. You're going to be sleep deprived. You're going to have emotional like stress out the wazoo. Everything's going to be crazy in your life. But you brought in that child into the world. So yes, you're tired. Yes, you're running around ragged and just worn out. But you're doing it for a great cause. You're doing it because you're bringing another life into the world. So if it's in that case, you don't complain about being tired because you look at the trade-off you're making. It's a choice that you're making. That trade-off is to bring a child into the world. And then that's an awesome thing you're doing. So that negates being tired. So don't complain about being tired. Just say, I'm so grateful and thankful that I had the opportunity to have a child. So if we look at the positive aspects and we recognize what are the things that we are getting for what we're trading. focus on those. Okay, focus on the good stuff. So focus on the happy things of life, because that helps raise your happy chemicals in the body. So when you think of happy memories, you actually start producing more happy-based chemicals and like hormones and all that stuff in your body. So your body actually changes chemically when you think of happy things. So this is another thing that kind of helps with sleep. And it helps with maintaining a more positive outlook on life. So if you always have an Eeyore mentality, and oh, life is so unfair and blah, 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 and you always live that way, you're going to live stressed, you're going to live negative, all you're ever going to see is the negatives, everybody around you is going to feel the negativity of you. So, and you'll wonder why you never have any friends, or why people want to talk to you very quickly, they don't want to hang around too long, because you're probably a Debbie Downer, okay? So, if you think to yourself at the end of every day is, what was something I was grateful for today? Notice I didn't ask, the question isn't like, what happened to you today, because you're just going to whine about all the bullshit, the negative stuff. So the question is, what was something you were grateful for? So think of something that was awesome. So maybe you were running late somewhere, and you happened to hit like all green lights on the way to get there, and you actually showed up relatively well, or like barely on time, or just a little bit late. But man, if you'd hit all those red lights, you'd have been really late. That's something small, but that is something to be grateful for, So there's just a ton of things that happen in our day that are small little positive things that if we focus on those, we'll recognize that the world is actually a better place than we think. The world is happy. There's a lot of happy people around you. There's a lot of happy stuff around you. So if you're looking for more happiness in your life, look for the happiness in your life, okay? So find the things to be grateful for. Stop complaining about shit that's repetitive, okay? Now, if your dog died, that is something that it's okay to complain about that. It's okay to feel sad. That's reasonable. But like I said, if it's an everyday complaint, shut the hell up. Address it or accept it. Done. That's it, okay? So that's the question is, what was something you were grateful for today? So again, focus on that. It helps you create a more positive outlook, and also helps you get to sleep better because you're going to have a more positive outlook for tomorrow. So if you do believe the world and your life to be a happy place, then you're going to be more likely to want to get to sleep and be excited to wake up tomorrow and do all the happy stuff again. So the next question we have is, what did you do to improve yourself or your future today? So if you have a sense of moving forward towards your personal goals, that'll help a lot with maintaining a sense of self-identity. So a lot of mothers will experience this, and even dads too, is you'll lose a sense of yourself because you kind of devote everything to the family or your kids. And you kind of like all of your hopes and dreams and whatever just kind of get in the back burner and they die. Don't let that happen, okay? You still have to do something that lets you have a sense of identity, lets you have a sense of self, individualism. I think it might be a word, I don't know. But you have to be your own person, okay? That also helps you not feel resentment towards the people who do need you. So you won't feel resentment towards your kids or towards your husband. And you won't have this low level of just annoyance all day and everybody has to walk on eggshells around you. And then also, you won't feel overwhelmed with the people who need you in your life. And that could be with work, it could be friends, family, other stuff like that. But if you have a sense of self, and you have a sense that you were able to do something to benefit yourself that day, it's going to make you more likely to want to and be happy to benefit and move forward other people's lives. So there's a ton of books about this. It doesn't mean you're selfish. It's just that's the way human beings are. Okay, it's okay to have a self-identity. It's okay to have self-goals that are independent of other people. That's okay. So you just have to find your balance of taking care of those without obviously hurting other people or without completely dismissing other people. But it's not good if you just abandon all of yourself. Okay, you still have to have a sense of self. Okay. Next question we have is, what was something that made you happy today? And did you laugh today? So this is, again, another thing that just kind of reminds you about the good stuff in life. It brings forth the happy chemicals in your brain, makes you feel good before you go to bed, and it just helps you kind of, often if we laughed, it most commonly is going to be because of someone else or with someone else. So it gives us a sense of connection with other people as well, which helps a lot too. So that's a good question, and I just like that because it reminds me of something good. And often if you remind yourself of something that made you laugh, you'll almost kind of laugh a little bit again. So it's just a really cool way to end the day, is with a little bit of laughter and some smiles. The last question we have is, what is something you like about yourself? So I like this question because I tend to be one of there's, everybody does this to some degree, I'm sure, but I tend to be overly critical of myself, where I'm always trying to work on myself and trying to make myself a better person. And too often I get caught up on looking at the things that still need improved and forget to look at the things that are good. So I forget to kind of remind myself of the good things about myself. And a lot of people do that. So a lot of times we beat ourselves up for the things that we have yet to fix, but that might only be 5% of the whole picture of what we are and who we are. There's still 95% of awesomeness about you that we sometimes will forget. So I force myself to answer that question every day with a new answer. So it's like, what is something you like about yourself? So maybe the first night you're like, I don't have body odor. Ding. Maybe the next night you're like, I'm glad I have all my teeth. The next night you're, I have a decent sense of humor, something like that. We tend to answer very generic, dorky answers when we first start. But then as you get further into this, it becomes harder to find an answer. And therefore you have to start really actually looking into yourself and finding the good. So you just can't give those bullcrap, funny, shallow answers. You have to actually start looking into it and finding the things that you like about yourself. And that helps remind you of what good is in there. So that's a really cool thing. So that question of having to answer what you like about yourself, it empowers self-belief, self-confidence, a drive to improve your life, improves the sense of self-worth and the sense of overall happiness to your life. Because you'll know that, I got a couple things to work on, but man, I'm actually a pretty good project overall. So I'm doing okay. And then the last question we have is, what is something positive you have to look forward to? And this establishes a positive outlook to our future. So it kind of gives you a reason to go to bed and then a reason to be excited to get up tomorrow. So a lot of times people dealing with anxiety and depression, they kind of feel overwhelmed and kind of, what's the point? What's the purpose? What does it even matter? And if you think of something something to look forward to. So maybe this upcoming weekend you're going to see some friends and family. Or maybe you're going to a musical concert in a couple nights. Or maybe you're going out to lunch with a friend, at the end of the week. Just try to think of something to look forward to, and that will help kind of give you that reason to go to bed, give you that reason to get up the next day, and give you a reason to keep moving forward in life. Okay? So those are the 9 questions that I have. Hopefully you liked some of them. And if you guys like this idea, hopefully you can kind of steal it and make the questions your own. So, but that is it. If you like a written format of this, so we can actually remember what these questions are, just shoot us an email at brutalironjim@gmail.com, and I'll send you the outline for today's podcast. So the thing is when you're pursuing happiness in your life, it can have a tendency to make you more aware of when you're unhappy. Because if you're always looking, when am I happy, you're also always looking, when am I not happy? And a daily happiness routine like this can help bring forth more of that happiness and more contentment in your life. And it can also help to learn that happiness in life doesn't always mean that it was only happy, that there were no struggles, that there was no sadness. So if you go through these questions every day, it's a way of filtering out the bad and bringing forth the good. It's not that the bad isn't there, it's just that you're trying to find the good stuff that was in the mix. So that way you don't get overwhelmed with the bad or you don't lose sight of the good. So a daily happiness routine like this, it teaches you that amongst all the chaos, amongst all the struggles that happened that day, there was still all of this good. There's still all of this happiness to your life. And that can help you every single day feel more contentment and more happiness with your life, knowing that to be happy in life doesn't mean that there's no struggles, doesn't mean that there's no sadness, there's no chaos. It just means that happiness in life comes from finding the happy stuff amongst all the chaos, amongst all the struggles, and making sure you're still moving forward towards your goals, moving forward towards your purpose in life. So that's our goal. Okay, so that's the point of doing this, is just learning that happiness is a sense of enjoying and embracing the chaos of life. It's not fighting the chaos, it's just learning how to navigate your way through it and find the good stuff amongst it. Cool. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully it gave you some food for thought and some ways for you guys